Hello.
Hola!
Bonjour.
Konnichiwa.
Ni hao.
Ciao!
안녕하세요.
Mabuhay!
Welcome to Washington State.
Explore the sights. Discover new things.
Appreciate the arts, music, and food.
Travel to new places.
Meet the people.
Make new friends.
In other words, come home with us.
Come home with us.
This is INCRadio Seattle, Washington.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our listeners and viewers all around the world. I am Brother Joshua Weber from the local congregation of Everett, here in the sometimes sunny, sometimes pretty cloudy, but today pretty warm district of Washington State. Today we'll be having a pretty fun show, and a very important show at that. For those who remember the title of our broadcast today, it is Should You Post That? And we'll get more into that with our topic. But before we get into anything, we have a few ways and reminders of ways to tune in here for our broadcast. Of course, we have here through our YouTube channel, which is the INCRadio DZEM 954. 954, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you're already watching through the YouTube channel, again, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon that appears after hitting the subscription button, so that way you can stay up to date for all of our other broadcasts here through our YouTube channel. Not only do we have the YouTube channel, but we have the INCradio.org. Alrighty. So like I had mentioned before, we are talking about social media posts, or should you post that? Joining us today, we have three very special guests for us. Firstly, in no particular order, we have Sister Jem. So Sister Jem, go ahead and introduce yourself and give any shout outs if you have any at this time.
Hello, everyone. I don't know why I waved. My name is Sister Jem Villanueva, and I am from the local of Shoreline, Washington. So shout out to my locale. But I also want to shout out my parents because I love them. And shout out to my kuya. I love you too. Don't worry. And shout out to the District Kadiwa, as well as all of the Kadiwa in the District of Washington State.
All right. Thank you, Sister Jem. It's nice to have you back on IAC Radio. Speaking of returnees to IAC Radio, we have Brother Johnny. Brother Johnny, same for you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and give any shout outs at this time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brother Johnny Gordon from the local of Tacoma. I'd like to shout out Tacoma, everyone out there watching. I'd also like to shout out my family, who I love also, and they are downstairs watching me, so that's awesome.
Awesome. And last but definitely not least, we have Sister Kyla. So, Sister Kyla, go ahead and introduce yourself, please, and give any shout outs if you have any.
Hi everyone, I'm Sister Kyla from the locale of Tacoma. I would like to give a shout out to my locale, my parents, my family. I love you guys so much. And I also want to give a special shout out to the District of Micronesia, if you guys are watching.
Nice. There we go. I feel like all of us now, since Sister Jim had to put it in there, we all had to shout out our family and be like, we love you. We promise it's not just Sister Jim. We all love you. All right. So we're going to go into our promo video break, but before that, we have a YouTube question, and that, or a question for our YouTube audience, rather. And that question is, why should we be mindful of our social media presence? And what impact does it have on us? One more time, why should we be mindful of our social media presence? And what impact does it have on us? And we'll be sure to read some of those comments and answers for our question today after our promo video break.
You are listening to Iglesianicristo Radio, the voice of truth.
Using internet is part of our daily lives, and keeping ourselves safe from cyber harm is really important. Join us in our discussion and learn some tips and how to secure cyber safety. All these and more exciting segments only here in INCRadio Spain Satellite Studio on March 17, 2024 at 3 o'clock p.m. Central European Time and 10 o'clock p.m. Philippine Standard Time. And don't forget to send your local hashtag in our hashtag challenge. Remember, stay safe, stay connected, cyber safety matters. See you!
Last week, we talked about the fundamentals of photography. This week, we are introducing some guidelines of basic video editing with our special guest, Sister Kate Arenas. Don't miss our episode this Sunday, March 17, from 11 a.m. to 12 noon, Philippine Standard Time. Only at INCRadio Hong Kong Satellite Studio, your Sunday lunch date.
All right, so let's be sure to remember to stay up to date. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Pardon me. Up to date with all of our other broadcasts and support, especially our other satellites. So, like I had mentioned before, the title for our show today is Should You Post That? So let's see. Let's go ahead and read a few comments here. We actually have two greetings first. From Brother Relly, our Assistant District Minister. Happy Saturday and happy viewing to all brethren around the world. Greetings from Washington State, #Everett. There we go. And another from Sister Chrislyn Torres. Happy viewing, happy sunny, I thought she was going to say Sunday. Happy sunny weekend to all the brethren from the Torres family in the local congregation of #Everett. No, she said #Oak Harbor. There we go. So there we go. We have a few greetings here as our answers start getting put through. So we'll start off with Sister Gem. How do you perform a social media cleanup?
So usually most of my social media is on private, but sometimes I'll follow like actors, musicians, all those people, or maybe even some brands that I like. But sometimes, it starts to really fill up my feed, and I guess, a weird way to say is like my feed gets too noisy. Like, I'm not really seeing, my friends posts anymore. It feels like it's all become ads from all these people. So you kind of declutter your online space, and if you don't really follow whoever that person is, then maybe you can just remove those accounts. But another thing to also do is when you're doing a social media cleanup, especially if you have a public account, to remove accounts that you possibly don't recognize. It could be spam or just someone creepy, like you never know. So just remove accounts you don't recognize. And most importantly, accounts that you truly feel don't align with your values. So it's a matter of creating that nice online space for yourself and then for all of your friends that you share it with.
Thank you, Sister Jim. We actually also have another response to our YouTube question here from Sister Den or Sister Frandel Fraheran. The answer is because we are the lights of this world and have to represent. There we go, #Kent. And I know everyone's waiting for those hashtag results, but I will go ahead and read those after our discussion here today. I didn't forget. Don't worry, we didn't forget. Now, going off of kind of what Sister Jem was saying, Brother Johnny, in how is it that, or what does it mean to be mindful of what we post?
For me, to be mindful of what we post, I always think of how I'm representing myself, but not just myself, but as a member of the Church of Christ. So before I ever post anything, I think, is this appropriate to be posting? Is there anything in the photo, or is there anything in the background? And sometimes I'll even have like one of my other family members look through it, and they'll double check for me as well. So that always helps for me. And yeah.
And how about you, Sister Kyla? If you have anything else to add on to that, like what does it mean to be mindful of what we post? For example, like how are you mindful when you post things on your social medias?
I just think about it. My mom says 100 times. So always think about it, make sure nothing's inappropriate or very negative. Uh, just keep in mind that we are Christians, and we should always post things that are appropriate, especially as members of the Church of Christ. It really just represents who we are, even especially for those who don't really know us in person. So we really reflect off social media and our presence on there. So we want to give out some positive vibes. Sorry, and just be positive online, show who we really are as members of the church. Like, for example, we know someone who likes posting Legos or some shoes or some food. That just brings out some positivity out there and just shows who we really are and not anything negative about it.
There's also another response from Brother Von Torres here. Never post on social media when too emotional, especially when angry. Your personality is presumed based on what you post. I know I just saw that fly by on the comments, which are going super fast. As you know, Sister Kyla was mentioning how it reflects us. So, I guess I could go back in with Sister Kyla. Why is it important that we be mindful of our social media presence, and like what kind of impact does that have on us?
It shows really who we are as members. It's really important to know that um, we give out our true self and no negativity and all that. It's just really important because we also we represent the church as well. So we don't want to give that um, representation some negativity. So it's ourselves and for the church.
Of course. And now I guess I can ask more on like tips. So, Sister Jem, how is it that we can be more mindful of what we post?
Um, so what I highly recommend is when you do post, be purposeful. You have to consider that whether we want to or not, social media does represent a piece of ourselves that we share with everyone or all of our followers. So be purposeful. Like, I know sometimes people just want to be funny and, just share like random things, and that's okay. But once we go back to the conversation we just had, like, what is your intention? Will this be harmful? And what am I trying to convey or share? Um, that's why have some bit of purpose, especially if you have to think twice already, then maybe reconsider what you're going to post. And to be more mindful of what we post as well is to have more tact, have respect, because it is a shared platform and every post has somewhat of an influence for all ages. So whether we want that or not as well, uh, if we have younger ones following us, you know, we may not be aware of it, but they are, and they might pick up on something that wasn't meant to be picked up on. And I would say it definitely goes both ways. Um, as much as we should be mindful of what we post, we should definitely be mindful of what we are consuming as well on social media platforms. because it may have an influence on us, even if we're not too aware of it yet. But I don't know if you guys, go on the reels and stuff and seeing all like so many like 7 to 10-second videos just one after the other, and you're consuming bits and pieces of that. So it goes the same for when we post. Like people, whether we want them to or not, eventually will consume our social media as well.
And thank you, Sister Jem. And Brother Johnny, in also, if if there's anything else that you know of that I know Sister Jem mentioned a lot, but how is it that we can be more mindful of what we post, in your opinion? Like how do you do it then?
Going off of what Sister Jem said, I also try to consider just how many people would be seeing the content I would post. So it's always good to be mindful of just how many people it could be reaching out to. Just like she said, even just like scrolling, seeing so many reels today now, more than ever, social media is so huge. Everyone can post whatever they want. And it's also it's also good to keep in mind what posts we're liking or what comments we leave on posts as well, because we still want to reflect our Christian values and who we are as a person. And if we're commenting something negative, then maybe we should think twice about it before we post it as well.
Alrighty, thank you all so much, Sister Kyla, Sister Jem, and Brother Johnny. I wanted to make sure I didn't say sister again, Brother Johnny, for joining us today. It's a very insightful message that we have today here, especially because of like what Brother Johnny said. Social media is very present in everyone's lives, especially the modern person. So it is very important for us to know these. So thank you all so much again for joining us today. Alrighty, so now we will go on to our next segment with Brother Terrell, and that is our CFO in action. So, Brother Terrell, without further ado, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Brother Josh. Hello, everyone. I am Brother Terrell Torres from the local of Everett. Thank you for all joining us here on INCRadio. I was also in the chat, so I was seeing everyone in there. So shout out to all of the ones that are participating in the chat. So for our CFO in action, for our past activities that we had here in the District of Washington State, we just recently, yesterday, March 15th, we had our North Region Kadiwa sponsored EVM in Shoreline. So for the ones that are the Kadiwa or the members that are baptized 18 above and not married, we had a sponsored EVM in Shoreline for the northern region. And then following that EVM or Bible study, we had our CBI Literary Music Competition, or the Christian Brotherhood International. So basically, that is the members that are in school, and they had an activity where they competed against each other in the literary sense and music sense. So we had some performances in music and in literary for those students. And then our future activities that we're having is going to be on March 22nd. We have our Kadiwa Forum at 7:30 p.m. in the various locals around the District of Washington State. That's all I have for CFO in action. Back to you, Brother Josh.
Alrighty, thank you, Brother Terrell, for the ending there. It sounded very, I don't know why, robotic to me, but thank you so much, Brother Terrell. So, of course, like I had mentioned before, we did not forget, and we have the results for our hashtag competition from last week. So, first, we'll go ahead and start with our top locals. In 5th place, we have the local congregation of Federal Way. In 4th place, we have the local congregation of Marysville. In 3rd place, we have Shoreline. And in 2nd place, we actually have 2 locals. So in second place, we have the local congregations of Everett and Spokane. There we go. And in the number one spot for our locals for March 9th, we have the local congregation of Seattle. There we go for our hashtags. And now we can go ahead and move on to our most active brethren in our live chat from our March 9th broadcast. All right, so for number 5, we have Sister Gerlyn Rivera from Everett. There we go. For number 4, we have Aaron Duar from Seattle. We have in number 3, we have Imelda Navaska in Shoreline. There we go. Navaska. I want to make sure I pronounce that. Number 2, we have Marinella Ligsai from Seattle. And our number 1 most active brethren from the chat of March 9th, 2024 is Brother Adrian Liquido from Renton. There we go. So thank you all so much for all of your active support, and of course, continuing to post your hashtags here in our chat as I look back again and they fly up very, very fast. So now we'll go into our third segment, which is our hidden treasures. So Kuyatek, if you could pull up the hidden treasures. Thank you so much, bro.
Hello to everyone tuning in today. I am Sister Tia Torres from the local of Everett, Washington. And today I am here at Mukilteo Lighthouse Park. This lighthouse was built in the 1950s and it still operates today by providing a guiding light for the passing ships. It is also located right next to the ferry station, which Brother Terrell mentioned in our last Hidden Treasures segment. So that's the ferry you can take to Whidbey Island. And this park also provides beach access. Which is really nice during the summertime. There's also a park kids can play at, and there's volleyball, and there's fire pits during the summertime that you can use. That is all from me today. Thank you for tuning in to INC Radio Seattle, Washington, and I'll see you later.
Alrighty, thank you, Sister Tia, for your hidden treasures. If she's definitely here somewhere hiding in the YouTube chat. So thank you once again, Sister Tia, for submitting your hidden treasure. So we have a few more responses that we'd like to read in relation to our topic for today from Brother John Rodney Mangona. We have rid ourselves of toxicity and anything that is detrimental to our personal or spiritual and mental health and growth. And another response that we have here is from Sister Gabby Sese. I try to do a social media cleanup at least once a year. I also remove people I'm not familiar with or that don't post things that align with my values. Hashtag Oak Harbor and hashtag Everett. There we go. I know Sister Gem also mentioned those points as well in our broadcast today. Alrighty. So that is it for our broadcast today. But before we go, we have a cliffhanger statement for everyone here. And that is, spring is almost here. And our question is, how do you care and maintain your garden? So now that spring is almost here, our question for today to leave off and for you to think about until our broadcast next week is, how do you care and maintain your garden? More on that in our broadcast next week. And with that, we would like to say our special thank yous and our shout outs to Brother Eduardo Manalo, our Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Manalo, our SEBC President and CFO Coordinator, Brother Arnel Solano, our Station Manager, Brother Ramil Regino, our District Minister, Brother Relly Rivera, our Assistant District Minister, Brother Chris Valdez, our CFO Overseer, Brother Manly Andaya, our Executive Producer, of course, the listeners, and last but definitely not the least, our INC Radio Tech crew. Thank you all so much for your love and support. None of this would be possible without the help and love of every single one of you. So, from INC Radio Seattle, we hope you enjoy the sunny Saturday, and we will see you later.